In 3, 2, 1, you are listening to the Real Spicy Podcast. My name is Pedro, and we're back at it again, guys. So, I have a new setup. It's a little bit different, and I constantly keep looking at it just because I'm not used to it. And I changed the lighting and I changed a couple things. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to notice that it's a little bit different. I like it, but I'm just not used to it. The only thing that I do got to fix looking at my monitor, it's my light setup. Plus cuz I'm bald, so like I have a pretty big shine. So I think I got to fix that up. Again, I I'm not a perfectionist, but I notice little small details that in the end will bug me, but that's fine. Not everything will be perfect. But like I said, every episode I say the same thing. I'm just trying to make this the best possible product that I can. That includes the video too, guys. But if you watch the video, you're going to see me look at a little device. That device in front of me is an actual monitor. So I record the entire show and it tells me that it's recording just because it has like red bars on it. And it's really useful because whenever I have guests on, I know that it's recording just to double check or that we're in frame, or for the most part that we're in frame. It's not that the camera moves or anything, but you never know. And you know what? Today was one of those days. Before I came on, I started recording, and I realized by looking at the monitor about 2 or 3 minutes into the episode that I was not recording. So my monitor actually goes a long way. It's just in the frame and it doesn't look very pretty, but now you guys know because I am the video engineer, the audio engineer, the video director. I'm a one-man show for all this. I edit, I do everything. So I constantly got to make sure that all my audio levels are on par, that everything's good to go. So hopefully everything is good to go with my audio. So like right now, if you notice, we're slowly going up because I realized they were a little bit low. So I think we're where we're supposed to be. All right, so guys, this week we are going to talk the one thing that brings everyone together, the one thing that does not alienate anybody, and that's politics, religion, and sports. What political party is the best? What political party is the right? What religion is the supreme of all? No, hell no. That's how you start arguments. That's how you start. I wouldn't say war. I mean, yes, because I do know that some wars have started off religion. And then, at the end of the day, that's how you create enemies. Even with sports, that's why I said, let's talk about sports. I don't know if you've noticed, I believe like episode 3 or 4, I said, I don't want to talk about my favorite sports just because if you're not a fan, you're like, this guy likes that team. Man, that guy's dumb. And you make a quick assumption and you're like, I'm not going to listen. He supports the Patriots or he supports the Rams. But the only team, damn, it just literally contradicts what pretty much the message. But I guess the only team, just is super obvious. I travel a lot to support this team, especially if they're here in the U.S., but the Mexico national soccer team. Other than that, I think that's it. That's because I make it very well known on social media. Like, where am I? Oh, if Mexico's playing here in the U.S., more than likely you're going to know that I'm at that game. But other than that, like when it comes to your traditional American sports, stay away from it just because it just creates separation. It's supposed to bring us together, but sometimes I feel like separation. And the reason why I said let's talk about, sarcastically obviously, let's talk about politics is because that's all you hear right now on TV, on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. That's all you hear. That's all you see. Because here in the United States, it's election season. But I don't want to talk too much about that. All I want to say, because we're early on into the episode, just go vote, guys. Make your voice count. I may not have the greatest and biggest platform, but any platform that you have, take advantage of it, share, and let everyone know that you guys should go out and vote. There's other people out there that don't have that ability to go vote, and just exercise your right to vote. Other than that, thank you guys. That is my PSA for this episode. On to the next thing, and kind of like mentioning sports and travel stories. That is the one thing I guess I've got to miss out on because of quarantine, and that was traveling for sports. Not necessarily a specific team other than the Mexico national team, but I would travel for wrestling. And yes, I know, guys, wrestling. Oh, yeah, that fake shit. Yes, that fake shit. Oh, before I forget, my bad if I cuss. I'm just maybe because my work environment, because my podcast is not my income, is not my job, it's not my work. I have to be very professional and obviously cussing is not part of it. So I listened to the last episode that I did, and I cussed a lot. So I kind of want to apologize. That's normally how I talk, but I try to keep that to a minimum. I've always emphasized that you don't need to cuss unless it's to emphasize a point. So I guess in this point and on this one, yeah, that wrestling shit. So again, I do apologize. These episodes I will cuss, but the last one, when you listen to a lot of these sound bites or on the podcast, and especially like if you do your own editing, you're so critical because you notice everything, the the deep breaths, the ums, the and the and sort of like, and once again and a lot of that, and I'm like, wow, I need to work on this. But slowly but surely, I know that the podcast realm is a little bit different, where you're kind of allowed or you're forgiven in these situations, in a sense. Like, it doesn't have to sound professional, because at the end of the day, this is just a conversation. It's about us, all right? It's about us. And I may not be the greatest speaker, just because I say a lot of ums and ands, and I pause a lot. And I talked to someone who is in the radio industry, and I know that he listens. So a little quick shout out to DJ Ocho. He is on Euphoria radio stations, syndicated show. And I had a talk with him very briefly. He's like, "Hey, I love the podcast. Keep doing it. Good job." Bro, thank you. Coming from someone who works in the industry of recording and audio and all that good stuff and talk show. Well, I guess like how do I say this? Like, in the industry of talking, especially on air, that really meant a lot to me. And I kind of explained, man, I'm really struggling here. I love to talk, but I'm not very good at it. And he's like, yo, do you know it's a podcast? What does that mean? It doesn't have to sound professional. As soon as it's too professional, it's automated and you kind of lose your touch. This is about you. It's about what Gil has to bring. We listen because we want to listen to you and how you are. Man, boy, you are smart. I never thought of that. And maybe I have. I just never paid attention to it. But yeah, sometimes speaking to people within the industry, they'll give you great advice, and I highly recommend that. But back to my initial story, I'm telling you guys, sometimes I feel like I might have ADD, just because I talk about one topic, then I talk about another, then I diverge into another, and I never end up really talking about my first topic. So let's go back to my first topic, and that's about traveling and for wrestling. But this year, that is the one thing I definitely miss. And I don't think it's about the wrestling. I just miss the live shows, because I can watch it on TV, on the computer, on my phone, but it's not the same as being in person. And I definitely miss that. Even concerts. The last year I went to a few wrestling shows. For those that do know, and I won't go into in depth about them, but your boy went to All In, All Out. These are wrestling shows within AEW. I went to a couple of New Japan Pro Wrestling shows. Your boy did it all. So I went to a couple indie shows. house shows for WWE. Also, I totally forgot that I was front row for a show at San Francisco. And the only reason this was brought up, or why I bring it up, is because I would say about a week ago, my buddy ends up telling me, "Hey, do you remember when you were on TV for that wrestling show?" Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So we were mentioning because he doesn't like wrestling. He doesn't watch wrestling. But one of his buddies knew of me because he posted a photo with me. So that buddy, who I don't know, texts my friend and says, "Hey, bro, your friend is on TV," and he took a screenshot. So my friend was like, "Hey, this is what my buddy sent me about you. He doesn't know you, but he knows of you." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm on TV." So the first thing I did as soon as that show ended, I was in San Francisco. So I went straight to my hotel. I started streaming it. I was like, "Where's my part? Where's my part?" And I had a couple like parts where it wasn't just like where the camera was on me. The camera was on me and you see me chanting, "Juice, juice, 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 juice." Or what was the other one that I remember? It was two wrestlers, Cody versus Kenny Omega. And I was a big Omega fan, so I kept saying Kenny. His name is Kenny Omega, so I was like Kenny, Omega, Omega, Omega. I was into it, and I had no idea that. I knew the camera was in front of me. I just didn't know that the camera was recording the entire time, because usually the camera's on you just in case backstage they're like, "All right, and camera 2, go." I didn't know that camera 2 was recording all the entire time he was in front of me. So your boy made it on TV as a super fan for wrestling. But that is something that I definitely miss, and I wish we can get back. There's a lot of things we miss, to be honest, guys. Quarantine for some of us was really great. I have seen some incredible stories about like weight loss. Sorry, I have an itch on my nose, but I've seen some incredible stories about weight loss, and I'm like, man, crap, I gained. Well, your boy gained 40 pounds, and then I was like, all right, well, it's crunch time. So I ended up losing the 20 out of the 40. So right now I'm at a plus 20 for quarantine. So, or I mean, if you want to be specific, I'm at plus 21 as of this morning, and I'm like, man, I'm fat. But hey, it's my decision. I should have known better, eaten healthier, and actually, well, I was pretty active. I just ate really unhealthy, drinking, eating a bunch of fast food. No, not even fast food. Sorry about that. No. Like just a bunch of junk food. Chip. Oh, a bag of chip was my favorite thing, especially hot Cheetos or Chetos. The one thing about hot Cheetos and Hispanics, them shit's already expensive, very spicy. But what do we do? Or what? No, I say we because I know we do this. Us Latinos do this. We get, dude, I'm salivating just thinking about it. That shit's bomb, bro. So we get hot Cheetos. We put some lime on it. And then, remember, it's already spicy. We still add Tapatio on top of it. We shake it all up. Yo, I'm salivating. I am so sorry. No wonder I'm fat. But yo, this snack is so delicious. It's super spicy, but it's worth it. And a hack that I saw on TikTok was, instead of using your fingers because they get all red, use chopsticks. Your boy has chopsticks, so you see me like watching wrestling or watching TV, whatever I'm watching, with my chopsticks on my plate of hot Cheetos, eating one by one. None of my fingers were red after, my snack. But I ate a lot of that. A lot. And literally has no nutrients other than carbs. And you're just going to get fat. You're not going to really lose weight. But yeah, your boy gained 40 pounds. But now I'm at a plus 21 from those 40. So I'm doing okay. I gotta lose more. I gotta lose more because some of my shirts don't fit. Oh, so sad. But yeah, that's the hard reality of all that. So I ended up gaining weight. What's the other thing about quarantine? people's businesses have blown up, like small businesses. I wouldn't say like a huge majority, because a lot of businesses unfortunately did close because of quarantine. And I'm not trying to get sad, but that is a hard reality. But I've just seen like little small like Etsy shops, they blew up. And I'm like, man, quarantine was good with you. And I think everything's like a side hustle. So that's why, I mean, if you hustle and you put everything into it, more than likely you're going to be successful. In not in all situations, but in certain situations, in this situation, it really worked out for like all these small Etsy shops, which I thought it was really cool seeing all these little things, being very popular on social media. And then the last one that I'm on literally all the time, and I'm pretty sure a lot of my listeners are on all the time, and that's TikTok. TikTok blew out of this world. It is incredible the things and the content that is being uploaded to TikTok on the constant. I've learned a little bit about photography, about videography, not so much about audio, which I wish I would have learned about audio because, well, I got a podcast, but I've learned about photography. I have a very, to me, it's a very expensive camera. It's a Canon 7D. To me, it's expensive. I'm used to like the digital cams, the small ones where you pay like $300 and it does the job. But I ended up getting something a little bit more semi-professional with a Redline series lens, and that's like the lens itself is $1,000. So I started thinking, well, I have this really nice camera that I use for video. The camera's meant for photography. I should probably learn how to use this camera for its actual purpose. So TikTok has really taught me a lot. And I even uploaded a video about weight loss. It was like what you see, and it was like a picture in my final form. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. So I'm always like, oh yeah, my final form. If you know anything about like Dragon Ball Z, they transform into like higher powers. So I'm always saying, they're always saying like my final form, and so I kind of borrowed that. I was like, yeah, in my final form back then. So I posted a picture of that, and it said what you see and what you didn't see, and what you didn't see is videos of me in like my basic form at like 500 pounds at the gym, lifting weights on the floor, tired as hell. So I posted that, and that shit blew up. 10,000 views. Again, it's not viral, but to me, 10,000 views, that's pretty big. So I was really grateful. I'm like, okay, well, I think I found. So if you noticed a pause in this episode, it's because I noticed midway through my monologue or discussion about TikTok and how I found my niche. We'll get to that point. I look at my monitor and I realize it has not been recording. So I upload it to my computer. I was like, how much footage did I get? I only got like 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I have no idea how I did not notice. And all right, so let me show you. It might be like Inception going through the screen, but well, I don't know if I can show you. But all right, so I'm showing the video people my little screen, and it has bars. It's kind of difficult because I really can't move too much as far as like the monitor goes, but it has bars on it. Red bars, obviously, when something like you're recording, it's red. I did not record I would say about 10 minutes of footage, which is totally fine. I get most of my listens and views through the podcast, but sometimes I do like to have that video. So it's going to be a pretty long pause, but it's all right, guys. Thank you again so much for listening. But where was I? Oh, my niche about TikTok. I think I found it. My niche on TikTok is weight loss. That one video that I posted blew up to me. Obviously 10,000, it's like, it's a pat on the back. But to me, I thought it was a pretty big deal. I was like, oh crap, okay, well, I figured out my niche. People love inspirational stories, which actually has motivated me to get back into the routine of working out hardcore. Not to the point where I exaggerated, where I was working out, 2 or 3 times a day, 5 or 6 times a week, because I always had at least one day for just doing nothing. But I was always injured. I was always tired, grouchy, hungry because I didn't eat very much. I ate what I needed, which was still significant. It was about like 2,000 calories. I ate quite a bit, but to the amount of exercise that I was doing, my body needed more fuel. I've never starved myself. Hell no, I did not become fat by starving myself. Come on, or lose weight by starving myself. No, But when it comes to the exercising part, I was like, all right, well, let me get back into it, but let's do things in moderation. Let's do things without getting hurt, because I'm so susceptible to just injuries, constant injuries. But that's my world. But back to TikTok. Yo, I love it. I know that some people aren't the biggest fans of it, but there's so many things on TikTok that it's not just entertainment. To me, it's like 1 minute tutorials on how to do something. Like, I'm scrolling through the app, and then I see a video on how to make like Mexican candy, which our candy's spicy. It's supposed to be sweet, but it's spicy. So I learned how to make that with strawberries, what's the tahine, and some sugar. That's pretty much how you make certain candies. And she made it, and I'm like, I can easily make that. I learned how to cook. I already kind of knew, but it was kind of like a refresher course, like a really good juicy steak by Mr. Gordon Ramsay. So I've done that. What else did I do? I've done some pretty cool tricks that I've learned through iPhone photography. Flip it upside down where the camera's closest to the floor, and then look up and put in wide angle, and it looks super cool. If you're trying to get more of the picture, then use panoramic mode on it, and that way you can get more. Just obviously stay still. There's tons of things that I've learned through TikTok. So the app is not just a bunch of girls shaking their booty and dancing. It's to me, there's a lot more to it, and that's what I've gotten to become a really big fan of that app. All right, how do I transition from TikTok to just something else? I know I mentioned a little bit about sports, but mostly my travel. That is something I'm really looking forward to again, because, well, mostly the soccer games. And I feel like this is the third time or second time I've talked about it, but I just can't wait to be in the stands. I think that to me, that was the coolest things, traveling. This was an America versus Chivas game. And most of you who don't watch soccer is like, what the hell? What incarnation is he talking about? Okay, so these two teams are two of the best teams in Mexico. Best could be subjective, but I only say best because I believe that those two have the most championships. So they're always like big time rivals. And it is the biggest rivalry in Mexican soccer, Chivas versus America. So I go and I sit in the supporter section for the America team. Again, that's another team that I support, but whatever. So I sit in that section and I'm chanting, Dale a me, dale, dale a me, dale a me, dale, dale a me, dale, dale a me, dale, dale a me, dale, dale a me. That's one of them. Very simple. We're chanting and singing. So a woman and her husband show up, and they sit in the middle of the band, of the supporter group. And if you know anything about this supporter group on the America side, they're not the nicest. They will fight. They live that like hooligan mindset. Hooligan in the sense of they're just down to fight. Thing is, the wife was an America fan. The wife was the fan of the yellow team. Her husband had a red jersey, fan of Chivas, which is the red team. And clearly, this was not going to be okay. And they're not far from me. I'm telling you, I would say, so my dad was next to me, and 3 seats to the right of me, they were sitting there. And I'm standing there like, oh, this is not good. So a couple fans on the yellow side said, hey, bro, you need to leave. And the wife is over here, no, he's with me. And at one point, obviously they were cussing at each other, but it was like, I don't care if he's with you. He needs to leave. So they chest up and, they try to like one up one another. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. I knew what was coming. And, they finally get up and he's like, you need to leave. You don't belong here. And in soccer, bro, they don't care about the law. So the guy in the red shirt throws his beer in the face of one of the guys with the yellow. That's where he messed up because it looked like gang territory. Out of nowhere, you got this one big, not like fat big like me, but just big. I think he was about my height, 6'1", but he just looked really buff versus like 4 people on the yellow team. And he was able to hold it down. Yo, as soon as the more people from the yellow team saw that people from the yellow team were struggling to take one guy from the red team down. Oh my God, bro. I'm calling everyone bro here. People who were sitting next to me jumped on top of me. Literally, I'm not joking. The physical act of jumping over me on top of the seats, and it looked like a diving elbow drop from one row above. And I'm like, what the? He jumps and goes into this fight and they start swinging. Yo, it was over because it ended up being like 4 against 1 in the beginning. The one was able to hold it down to like 8 against 1. It was over for that guy. They took him out. They're dragging him and like, get out. And they're just swinging. Homeboy at this point, it's just like self-defense mechanism. His hands are covering his face. He's kind of like in a fetal position, standing up. And when you go up and I believe we were in Chicago. So when you go up the stadium stairs, there's a handrail. Well, homeboy slipped, okay? And he hit his head on the railing. I thought it was over from there. Homeboy's on the floor. It's over, bro. He's motionless. Nope. The people in the yellow with the yellow shirts got him up and just started smashing his head, okay? His head on the railing. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm watching this. I feel like I am a witness to a murder. Oh no. Like, I'm panicking. Like, I'm not going to fight. Hell, nobody ever wins in a fight. Nobody, because people are getting arrested. Well, most of the time. And so this guy's on the floor bleeding. Like, this guy his face got reorganized, okay? Blood everywhere. So at this point, the wife is yelling, just crying. So people, and the women with the yellow shirts, they're consoling her. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I'm like, man, I wish y'all were nice like them. So the guy's on the floor motionless. Insult to injury, okay? Insult to injury. They, as in like the people with the yellow shirts, rip his shirt off. And I'm like, oh my God, we're savages at this point. Nope. They rip it off and then just throw it under the seat and go back to their seats as if nothing happened. He's on the floor and they go back to chanting. Dale a me, dale a me, dale a me, dale a me. Like nothing happened. People went back to their drums. Doom, 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 doom. Fuck it, I forgot the song. Vamos, vamos, vamos. No, 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 no. La banda está alentando como en todas las canchas. Like, there's songs that we chant. Yo, they went back to doing all that. And the guy was still there. No one really paid attention. And I'm over here like, holy crap, what do I do? But if I did something, I'm getting my ass kicked and I'm in a different state. I'm with my dad. I don't like to fight. I don't want my dad to be hurt. And I'm like, well, we can't do nothing. And my dad's like, we got to do something, Dad. Like, we can't do anything. Like, we do something, we're screwed. They're fighting us. But yeah, eventually security come and they kind of just pick him up and get him upstairs, and no one got in trouble. And in my head, I'm like, a whole gang of these guys almost murdered that guy. I mean, he got transported to the hospital. That's all I know. And no one got in trouble. But then again, it's a very hostile environment. If you know anything about like hardcore soccer, it's scary. Like at some points, it's fun. It's smoke bombs, the singing, the dancing, the drums. Like that's all fun. But like the hardcore people, where it's like you look at me the wrong way, you're gonna die tonight. Oh my, oh my God, that is, yeah. I was not ready for that. So I thought that was really cool. The experience, not the fight, but that game in Chicago, America versus Chivas, it was absolutely incredible. It was nuts. We made headlines, and I say we because I sat with con la Monumental, which is the supporter group name. I sat with them. I sat right next to the drums, and for the most part, I knew most of the songs. So we made headline news because apparently, first of all, that game, like it almost sold out the entire stadium. Second, I believe like minute 78 or something like that, but it was in the second half. They again, we ignited a ton of smoke bombs. I didn't take any. Like I'm not saying that because I didn't, but people within our section ignited them. And usually all it takes is like 2 or 3 for that monstrosity of a group, no, but this ended up being like one every other seat. It was just, it was so much. So that whole stadium ended up just being covered in yellow smoke. You can barely see the game. But I think that's what made it really cool. It's just, I definitely miss those experiences. And that's something that I don't think you'll see in other sports. That passion. And you know what's the worst and best part? I don't know how you want to look at it. But for the most part, like some of these fights, they fight sober. Like they're just there to support their team. And they are not like belligerently drunk. They're just there to throw down. I'm like, y'all crazy. And I heard that's how it is in England too. That's why they get the hooligans. Like it's an organized fight club outside and once the game is over, they go to the forest and just throw down. Man, I was like, y'all crazy. I'm just here for the experience, the tacos, and to watch a good old fashioned game of soccer. But yeah, I that's something that I'm super excited about. Hopefully we get that back next year. We did get that here in Las Vegas, but it wasn't the same thing on that level. We have a second division soccer team, and we were able to go and watch it live. But only 250 people were allowed, and it was done only to season ticket members. I'm a season ticket holder or member. And it's based off a lottery choosing. So not only do you have to have season tickets, you also have to be chosen. So your boy got chosen, of course, and I went and I brought my megaphone, and I met up with a couple people that got selected, that part of the supporter group, and we went. We chanted, but it just wasn't the same. The stadium it was sad. 200 people out of the 10,000 that can fit. Again, it's a small stadium already, but only 200 were allowed. So we tried so hard to be as loud as possible. But, when there's 12 of you in a stadium that holds 10,000, it's really hard to sound loud like we normally would be. Because our group, I would say, is roughly about 3 times that amount. So we were a third of our size, but we get pretty loud. And then you got random people who end up joining, like, yo, this group is pretty cool. Let me, sit with them and start singing. But yeah, I got my taste of it for 2020 of soccer. And I feel like kind of like a drug addict, like, oh, I want more. Give me more. Give me more. Because I loved it. It wasn't on the level that I'm used to, but I absolutely loved it. I think that's it. I have talked a little bit too much. I went overboard on this episode, but I just had too many technical issues. Halfway through this episode, I wasn't recording. I had to stop. And I'm like, I'm not recording this again. I'm just kind of pick up where I last left. And I remembered where I last left. And I came here with a game plan. I usually do notes before each episode. I didn't follow them. I don't know why. They're in front of me. Like, I have my phone. I didn't follow them. I just felt like talking about TikTok was going to be a lot more fun. And honestly, I think it was pretty cool to talk about TikTok. But with all that being said, guys, if you have a TikTok, comment down below. If you're watching on YouTube, what's your favorite channel? What do you like to watch on TikTok? You can watch us on YouTube, obviously, and you can hear us on Apple, Spotify, Google. And if you're on Apple, guys, do me a huge favor. Keep doing what you're doing. Give us a rating. Be honest. I greatly appreciate you guys' honesty because this is about us. And I say this literally every episode. I want this to be the best possible product that I can produce for us. Again, with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening. Today was a little random, a little wild, but we made it work. The setup, it's a little bit different. I'm not used to it, but I kind of like it. I just got to maybe reorganize a couple things, get this little screen off the the camera view, maybe push it back a little bit so it's not in the way, but I'll come up with something. But on that, fuck it. Am I going to end it here? Yep. On that, guys, thank you so much for listening. On that, I am out.